Losing my job felt like getting sucker punched by life. I was 29, a certified welder with nearly a decade of experience. But when the factory downsized, I was one of the non-essential cuts. No warning, just a handshake, a final paycheck, and a box of my things. I held it together on the outside, but inside, I was scrambling. My savings wouldn't last long, not with rent, bills, and the truck loan. So I did what I promised myself I'd never do. I called my parents. Just for a few weeks, I said, until I find something new. They weren't thrilled, but they let me move into the basement. No hugs. No, you'll get through this. Just a stiff nod from my dad and my mom's annoyed glance at my duffel bags. My younger brother, Eric, laughed when he saw me dragging a mattress downstairs. Damn, from welding steel to living under the stairs like Harry Potter, he said, shaking his head. I wanted to snap back, but I was already carrying too much shame. To be fair, I wasn't freeloading. I offered to help with bills. I handed over $300 from the last of my savings and picked up groceries when I could. I even fixed a busted pipe in the guest bathroom, no charge. But none of that mattered. To them, I was a loser. They never said it outright, but I felt it in every sigh, every side eye during dinner, every time my mom said, "Some people just make better life choices." 2 weeks turned into 6, then 8. Interviews came and went. One company ghosted me after 3 rounds. Another offered a position, then froze hiring. Still, I didn't give up. I got certified in underwater welding online. I networked like crazy. Then, finally, I got an offer. It was a specialized welding gig on a major infrastructure project 2 states over. Unionized. Full benefits. $38 an hour to start. I was supposed to leave in 5 days. I hadn't told them yet. I wanted to wait until everything was signed. But apparently, they had other plans for me. One Thursday morning, I came back from a coffee run to find my duffel bags, toolbox, and mattress dumped on the front lawn. Rain was starting to fall. My clothes were getting soaked. I stood there for a second, stunned. Then I saw my mom holding her phone up, recording. "This is what happens when you live rent-free and act like the world owes you," she said loudly. My sister, Jenna, was laughing behind her. Eric was live streaming on Instagram. "Eviction day," he shouted like it was a game show. I didn't say a word. I just stared at them, my own family, while strangers online commented things like, "LOL, deadbeat," and "he looks like he smells like regret." No one asked where I was going. No one cared. I stuffed what I could into my truck and drove. No plan. No place to crash. Just the sting of betrayal burning hotter than any weld I'd ever laid. But as I pulled into a rest stop to regroup, something came back to me. Something my grandfather once said at a family dinner years ago, after Eric made a joke about me being the family charity case. Grandpa leaned in, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Don't worry. I made sure you'll never owe anyone in this family a damn thing." Back then, I thought it was just a kind old man's way of making me feel better. But now, sitting in my truck, humiliated and alone, I wondered if there was more to it. So I found the number for his old lawyer, and I made the call. The lawyer's name was David Rothman, and he answered on the second ring. I wasn't even sure what I was calling about. I half expected him to tell me I was wasting his time. But when I introduced myself, there was a pause. Then a long, low sigh. "I was wondering when I'd hear from you," he said. "Your grandfather left specific instructions for you to contact me if things ever turned ugly." That was his phrase. I told him what happened, how they threw me out, recorded it, mocked me online. I kept my voice calm, but my hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Rothman asked if I could come to his office the next morning. I didn't even hesitate. I parked overnight at a truck stop, barely slept, then drove 5 hours to the city. His office was clean, old school, books everywhere. One of those ticking wall clocks that sounded too loud in a silent room. We sat down. He pulled out a folder with my name on it. "Your grandfather trusted you," he said. "He saw what the others didn't. That you weren't flashy or manipulative. Just steady, loyal." I didn't know what to say to that. So I stayed quiet as he laid out the paperwork. What I saw made my throat go dry. My grandfather had set up a trust. A significant one. Apparently, when he sold a property back in the early 2000s, he set aside a portion of the earnings in real estate investments, quiet ones. Over the years, those properties multiplied. Rented, flipped, held, and ownership split in 3, my uncle, a cousin, and me. But here's the kicker. I owned 40% of the family home, the one they just threw me out of. Not just that, turns out 2 rental homes were fully under my name. held in the trust until I turned 30. I was just 10 months away. But legally, as co-owner of the main residence, I could act now. You have rights, Rothman said. If you'd like to assert them, I'll handle everything. Quietly or loudly. Your choice. It wasn't revenge I wanted. Not at first. What I wanted was acknowledgement. An apology. Maybe even just the truth that they were wrong. That I wasn't the parasite they painted me as. But when I went back to get the rest of my tools, they were gone. Sold. My dad told neighbors I left them behind, and he had to make space. When I messaged Jenna asking about my winter gear, she replied with a laughing emoji and said, maybe next time try contributing instead of camping in our house. That was the moment I flipped the switch. I called Rothman the next morning. Make it loud, I told him. He didn't ask for clarification. Just said, understood. Within days, a legal notice was served to my parents, notifying them of a formal property audit. Bank records, rent flows, and maintenance logs for all jointly held assets, especially the house, were being reviewed. Tenants in the 2 rentals were alerted that a new manager would be assuming control. Me. The house. Well, Rothman filed paperwork requesting temporary injunctions on modifications or sales. He also flagged possible misappropriation of equity loans. My dad had used the house as collateral multiple times. Loans my mother claimed were emergencies. And online, I stayed silent. No posts. No clapbacks. No rage videos. Let them keep their eviction day real. Let the world think I was licking my wounds somewhere. Because the truth was, I wasn't homeless. I was a 40% owner of the house they were still living in. And soon everyone would know it. By the time the audit letters landed in their mailbox, I was already 2 states away, sitting in the quiet break room of my new job site, steel-toe boots still dusty from orientation. The foreman was tough, but fair. The paychecks cleared on time. And for the first time in months, I slept without grinding my teeth. Back home, though, things were unraveling. Rothman kept me in the loop without flooding me with drama. He was a surgeon, not a brawler. Precise. Calculated. But even he couldn't hide the satisfaction in his voice when he told me how fast the panic set in. Your father called me 5 times in 2 hours, he said. Left one voicemail accusing me of elder abuse. Said I was manipulating you. I laughed. Bitterly. Because of course they would spin it that way. They couldn't fathom that I might be operating from strength. Rothman confirmed what we suspected. My parents had been skimming rent from the trust-owned properties for years. They rerouted payments through Shell Venmo accounts, reporting far less income than they received. They'd even taken out an improvement loan on one of the rental homes, using my name, without informing the trust. Technically, that was fraud. And technically, I could press charges. I wasn't sure yet if I wanted to go that far. But the look on their faces when the trust froze their access to the family home's mortgage line, that I would have paid to see. Eric was the first to reach out. Yo, can you explain why our water heater replacement got denied? He texted. No greeting. No apology. Just straight to inconvenience. I didn't reply. Then came Jenna. She posted a vague Facebook update. Funny how some people get money and forget where they come from. Still no names. Still playing the victim. The breaking point came when my mother, called me at 11:42 p.m. I stared at her name on the screen for a solid minute before answering. She didn't even wait for hello. What the hell are you doing to us, Brian? I stayed calm. I'm exercising my legal rights. Nothing more. You're tearing this family apart, she hissed. You don't do this to blood. I could barely believe what I was hearing. You live-streamed my eviction. Do you hear yourself? That was a joke. You're being dramatic. A joke. I hung up. The next morning, she emailed Rothman, accusing me of emotional blackmail. We forwarded it to the trust's compliance team. What she didn't know was that a new clause had just kicked in. Once mismanagement was confirmed, my voting rights over the properties increased from 40% to majority control until review. I now had full say over tenant leases, property renovations, and, most importantly, the house. The same house they mocked me from. The one where they filmed me standing in the rain like trash on pickup day. Rothman asked if I wanted them out. Not yet, I said. Let them sit in it. Let them feel the walls closing in. Instead, I sent a formal letter through Rothman's office. It outlined a freeze on all further loans using the home's equity, a financial review to determine owed back rents, a cease and desist on using my name in any monetized social media content. The best part? The trust required all three siblings and both parents to sign a joint compliance affidavit, or lose all claim to future assets. They had 7 days. And I knew them. They'd buckle. Because money talks louder than pride. Especially for people who think likes and live streams are currency. By day 3, the tone shifted. Jenna messaged me again. This time, no snark. Hey, can we talk? I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. I never wanted things to go this far. I stared at her message. My chest tightened, not from hope, but from the cold familiarity of it. They always switched tones when the consequences started to hurt. I didn't reply. That afternoon, Rothman called. They signed, he said, sounding almost amused. All of them. Even your father, though he underlined his name like a threat. What does that mean? I asked. It means you now control all managerial decisions involving the house and trust properties for the next 12 months. After that, a review board evaluates whether control returns to the original balance or stays with you permanently. Permanently, I repeated. He nodded. If you prove yourself more responsible than the others. Which, frankly, isn't hard. Your grandfather saw this coming. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. All I ever wanted was to be treated like I mattered. Like I wasn't some shameful footnote in the family. And now I held the pen. The next step was public. Rothman drafted a neutral, lawyer-approved press release for the trust's website. It confirmed the change in management, clarified property rights, and included a polite warning against misinformation regarding the trust's finances. In a separate notice, one we also published, we addressed the viral eviction video. In dry legal terms, it explained. The individual depicted in the video, Brian, redacted, holds majority interest in the residential property, at redacted. Any representation of him as a trespasser or unauthorized occupant is false. We didn't drag them. We didn't name names. We just corrected the narrative. But that was enough. Within 24 hours, the comment sections under their videos turned hostile. Wait, he owns the house? You kicked out the co-owner? Wow, y'all really tried to ruin this man. Eric deleted his Instagram livestream archive. Jenna switched her Facebook to private. My mother stopped posting entirely. And then, the messages started coming. Real ones. Brian, please, can we meet? Mom, I didn't know about the trust. I swear. I just did what they told me. Jenna, you win. Okay, but you're not better than us. Eric, every one of them danced around the thing I wanted most. An apology. Not because I owned property. Not because I fought back. But because I was right. But it never came. Instead, they asked for leniency. For rent extensions. For breathing room. I gave them 30 days. After that, rent due in full. Repairs pre-approved only. No freeloading. And just like that, they became my tenants. I didn't rub it in. I didn't gloat. I didn't even respond to their veiled guilt trips. Instead, I focused on the rentals, got the plumbing updated, hired local managers, ensured the tenants were treated with dignity. Funny, isn't it? The guy they called useless was now running half the family's real estate portfolio. I didn't need revenge. I just needed truth. And I was finally living in it. 3 weeks after they signed the affidavit, the silence from my family was louder than any of their live stream taunts. No more calls. No more texts. Just pure, awkward compliance. Rent arrived on time. Maintenance requests were filtered through the property portal I set up. Their tone in emails was clipped and formal, like they were writing to a landlord they hated but feared. Because, well, they were. I didn't want to linger in it. But let's be honest, there was something deeply satisfying about watching them finally play by rules they never thought would apply to them. Jenna was the first to crack. She emailed Rothman requesting a renegotiation of terms. What she really wanted was access to a social media sponsorship deal that required her to own property. Apparently, her eviction stunt got her a short burst of online fame. And now that her audience was shrinking, she wanted to pivot to family wellness and recovery. Rothman forwarded me her email. As co-owner of the property, I feel it's fair to represent my home online as a platform for healing. My response was short. You may represent your emotional growth all you want, but not the house. That branding right is held by the trust. Please remove any monetized content that shows or mentions the property. Within hours, her account was locked. Eric, meanwhile, started panic posting on Reddit, anonymous, but not really. He claimed he was being financially abused by his broke older brother who manipulated an old man's will. The comments didn't go the way he hoped. Didn't you throw him out and post it online? Imagine trying to scam your own brother and getting legally bodied. Your grandpa played 4D chess and you're mad. My mom was quietest of all. I knew she was humiliated, not just by the legal outcome, but by how the public turned on her. Once her eviction day video went viral, she rode that attention like it was her second job. Now, that same video was being duet by people calling her abusive, cold, toxic. One woman stitched the clip with a line that hit me harder than anything I could have written. If you're the kind of mother who laughs while your child is drowning, don't be surprised when he learns to swim without you. It got 800,000 likes. And that, more than any lawsuit or frozen account, was what really gutted them. Because the internet that once validated their cruelty turned. I didn't feed it. I didn't comment or res hair. I let them sit in the collapse of their own narrative. And quietly, I kept building. I bought a small 2-bedroom home in the next state. Nothing flashy. Fixer-upper. But it was mine, paid in full through the trust dividend. I packed my things, filled the truck bed, and drove out there one morning before sunrise. No ceremony. No fanfare. Just a new beginning. When I got there, I walked barefoot across the dusty living room floor, sat down on the back steps, and breathed. I didn't need revenge. I needed peace. And now, I had it. A month after I moved into my new place, the final letter from Rothman arrived. It was a certified document titled Notice of Legal Resolution and Binding Terms of Agreement. Inside were signatures from every member of my family, formally agreeing to repayment plans, non-disparagement clauses, and acknowledgement of past mismanagement. No lawyer speak. No sugarcoating. It was all there in black and white. They had used me, lied about me, publicly shamed me, and now they were legally bound to admit it. That night, I sat at my kitchen counter, still just a plywood board resting on sawhorses, and poured a glass of cheap red wine. I reread the letter 3 times. Not out of spite, but disbelief. I thought I'd feel triumphant, vindicated. But mostly, I felt tired. You spend so long trying to prove yourself to people who never see you, and when they finally do, it's too late. Still, closure is a rare thing. And I had it. 2 weeks later, I got a voicemail from my mom. She sounded different, quieter. The usual frost in her voice was gone. Hi, Brian. I don't expect you to call back. I just wanted to say, I didn't know how bad we'd hurt you. I really didn't. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. And I hope you're okay. No background noise. No one coaching her. Just her voice. It didn't fix anything. But it landed somewhere between my ribs. I didn't call back. But I didn't delete the message either. Eric emailed next. Short and direct. You got what you wanted. We got what we deserved. Let's just leave it there. Fair enough. Jenna sent a handwritten letter. Classic Jenna. Always more performative than sincere. It opened with, I've started therapy. I'm learning a lot about projection. She included a printout of a GoFundMe campaign she'd launched titled Sisters in Recovery. I didn't donate. Instead, I made a donation to a local trade school's welding program under Grandpa's name. Enough to cover tuition for 2 students. Felt like the right way to honor him. After everything, I kept managing the rentals, at least until the trust reevaluation. I hired a team to automate most of it. I didn't want to micromanage my family's downfall. That wasn't the point. I wanted distance. And I had it. I worked. I fixed up the house. I grilled on weekends. Made friends with the neighbors. I even started dating again. A woman named Naomi, who worked at the hardware store and never once asked about my family. One Sunday evening, while sitting on the porch, she asked me what I was most proud of. I didn't say the trust, or the house, or the quiet revenge. I said that I didn't become what they said I was. Because I didn't. And no matter what came next, that truth was mine. 1 year after the eviction, I got an invitation in the mail. Cream-colored cardstock. Gold lettering. A family reunion barbecue hosted at the old house. I almost laughed. It was addressed to Mr. Brian Redacted, co-owner. Subtle. Inside was a handwritten note. We're trying to rebuild. It won't be the same without you. Hope you'll come. No cameras. No drama. Just family. It wasn't signed. I left it on the counter and went back to patching drywall in the guest room. I never intended to become a symbol of anything. But word had gotten around. I started getting emails from people I hadn't heard from in years. Old classmates, cousins, even a former supervisor who once told me I'd never make it past mid-level. They weren't asking for favors. Most just said, I saw what you did. That took guts. But the one that meant the most was from the trust's accountant. Your grandfather would be proud. He always said you were the one with a spine made of steel, not for the welding, but for the quiet way you held things together. That one stayed in my inbox. I didn't go to the reunion. I didn't send a message either. I figured if they were serious about rebuilding, they could start without me. Instead, I spent that weekend installing a new porch swing out back. Naomi helped, laughing as I fumbled with the chains. We made grilled cheese and soup, then sat outside in the chill of early fall, wrapped in one blanket. At one point she asked, "Do you ever wish it hadn't gone down like that?" I thought for a long time. "No," I said finally. "Because I didn't lose my family that day. I just stopped pretending I ever had one." Naomi didn't flinch. She just nodded. And then I told her something I'd only told Rothman. When Grandpa was alive, he used to say, "Respect is earned, not given. But once you earn it, don't let anyone rent it from you." For years, I'd been leasing out pieces of myself for approval, for acceptance, for a seat at a table I was never really welcome at. Now, the table was mine, and I didn't need to fill it with people who only stayed for the meal. That winter, I sent out holiday cards. Just 10 of them. Close friends, work buddies, Naomi's parents. I didn't send any to my mother, or Jenna, or Eric, but I did send one to Rothman. Inside I wrote, "Thank you for helping me stand when I was expected to crawl. You didn't just honor Grandpa's trust. You honored mine." I signed it simply, Brian. No bitterness. No sarcasm. Just peace. That was my ending. Not a dramatic blow-up. Not a climactic confrontation. Just distance, dignity, and the slow rebuilding of something that actually felt like a life. They thought they threw me out, but they just pushed me forward. And this time, I wasn't looking back.